What's up, everybody? 5 boring techniques, tips, if you call them that, for YouTube growth. Here is the lesson I heard from Evan Carmichael. There's the authority. He's got 5 mil. I've got 1, 2, 3. It doesn't matter. You're sitting with me. Here's the 5 boring tips that you shall plea and serve to the YouTube formula. Number 1, I have Hamilton stuck in my head. So if you're playing it with me, play it with me. Number 1, the first thing that he talks about is thumbnails. Interesting thought is backlog. If you have a catalog, meaning you have videos, older videos, instead of trying to chase the beginning, chase the ending, chase the beginning. Clearly saying if you have videos from the past, periodically update the thumbnails and titles, because that is the first importance of the YouTube. Is the thumbnail is so important. You can't really tell because I'm boring. Thumbnails, very important. That's what, if they don't click, they don't click, they don't watch. So it's the first trigger into sparking the intrigue, into the curiosity gap, into what you have to say. And when you do that, it works. Good old Evan Boy talks about how he was at 100 views a month, and then all of a sudden 15,000 views a month, or something like that. Check it. It's from Think Media. Go check that. Number two, the next tip, I guess I got to switch. Number 2, the next tip that you want to attain is retention matters. Now that you've got the thumbnail, you want to retain 70% of your viewers for at least 1 minute, and then the rest is gravy. He uses a story about you can put the video for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 3 minutes. 1 minute is that I'm with you, I trust you, I kind of grabbed the story, we're rock and rolling. If you can achieve that, your videos will be recommended without like a wildfire. How you do that is a story, clarity, really engaging and hitting and entertaining the viewer, creating curiosity gaps. What comes to mind is Diary of a CEO. He has 2-hour, 1-hour, 3-hour videos, and every episode starts with a trailer for that episode. It's the new way to do podcasts. It's a psychological genius strategy because it hooks you, and then you're with it. You're rocking and rolling, and the next thing you know it, you watched a whole episode of Joe Rogan. Good old 3 hours of him shooting the breeze with the boys. So, number 3 piggybacks onto what I just talked about. And that boring tip, number 3, is make them suckers long. Make them suckers long. Let me say it again. Make them suckers long. Because YouTube is recommending, in its current state, long videos. He said, you thought it was 20 minutes, you thought it was 10 plus. What you are missing out is the 1 to 3 hour markers. If you can educate, if you can hold your audience, if you have something to say it. Use the story structure to the example structure. Use what you can, use what you got. Don't be afraid to go long. If you are rambling, repeating for the sake of repeating, not Jerry Seinfelding, not Jerry Seinfelding, where you're taking out each word to the joke until the joke doesn't make sense. Meaning, you tell a story, and if I could take that story out and it still makes sense, I probably can live without it. But Evan is saying, keep it, because it is important for the audience to understand that you've got something to say. It builds trust. Because if you spend any time with anybody, if you spend it for a long time, you will realize trust is in face-to-face interaction of a good time. Eating food, that's a psychological thing. So if you make it long and they start eating food, that's a bonus. And he said financially it makes sense because more ads, more things. And then he talks about other things like that, where it's simple, long, and he'll think it for you because YouTube will do it. And number 4. I'm gonna come back to the couch for this one because, what's up? She's upstairs. Oh, I'm upstairs. Oh, sweet. Thank you very much. An envelope. Number 4 talks about money. That's the baton right there. They passed the baton. Number 4 talks about making your videos tailored for suggestions. I call it baton passing. You're in the relay race. There's an idea floating out there in the ether. Someone is intrigued by that. They want not just one opinion, but probably 3. So, because I've noticed that with myself, it's like, I'll watch somebody. Okay, if this person says it, and then this person says it, and there's a Venn diagram, and most of that Venn diagram is the solar eclipse. I am going for that thought. On that idea makes sense to me. Boom. Hopefully that is a beautiful way to say it. So, you want to be the person receiving the baton and getting them to come to your lane. And what Evan suggests is a simple technique. And that is, take their video, look at what's popular. Yes, you go to search, you find out what they're searching for, or what people are searching for. You see the top video, and you're making a video to piggyback off of that one. Same title. He says same title. You want to switch up. You want to spin it. See, here's the thing. Here's the border in between, the threshold that you don't want to cross. You make sure you cross that there's a cavern for you to be safe, where you're not stealing. You are adding your own spin on it because you have experiences back here in the cranium, and you are, see, I'm talking about a lot of yous. This is what I've noticed. And you, so just, yeah, I can say it. So that I don't copy somebody word for word, but I add to the narrative, because that's a little bit of Peterson action. We add to the narrative and then give perspective to the viewer. And guess what? You get them on your track, because on the end of your video, you tag your video. So then, therefore, you have got them from suggested and onto your track, and that session time just keeps going. So that was number 4. Let us stand up. Do this thing if you want to. You thought I was muted, but I wasn't. I was just improvising. Number 5. Number 5. You want to act like you're talking to a mic. Number 5 is a very important tip. And that tip not only will build up your audience, that tip not only will make things happen, because human psychology says, I might just leave it playing. That tip, this final boring tip is something that is tedious, but if you do it properly, you will see the repeatedness of financial pieces. Financials, viewership, subscribership, trust. You're building trust. You will see, maybe I should lead with that. You are the hero of your story. So that final tip, number 5, is, I'm talking to a microphone. Simply, there is a query on the URL. It's very hard for me to show you, but if I follow you, you're going to look up. There's a URL. Every website has them. A query is basically something that you don't really know. Something that guides. It's after the endpoint of your. It's after the endpoint of your URL, right? So A query is simply pointing to something, adding to that URL, and it's directing it towards whatever you want to query to. So one of the query examples I can think of, if you look up at the URL and at the end of it, you put your cursor, the blinking guy, bling, 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 and you type in the ampersand, the and sign, the little figure 8 and, T equals 5M 2S, that will bring you to, the query will bring you to that video on YouTube at 5 minutes and 2 seconds. But this technique is about going to your videos, going to a playlist of all your uploads, going to the URL, going from the question mark equals, and there's a lot of gibberish, adding that to every video you send out into the ether. If it's a newsletter, if it's sending it to a buddy, if it is posting it on other socials, you want to send them that, because what happens is then with this query of directing the viewer into the website of playlists, that's a better version of query. It directs the website to what you want them to see. When you do this, you will be amazed, right? The magic is here. You will see that if you do it properly, the video that you send them is the video you recorded. And if you look to the side, it is added to the playlists. And so when your video ends, it automatically goes to the next upload or playlist that you have selected. If you do this boring tip, it sounds tedious, it sounds technical, because it is. You will see people will leave their players going, and notice that they will give you more viewership, give you more trust, and that will then tell YouTube you are trustworthy as a creator to give to more audiences. So let's recap. Everybody put your recaps on. I don't see a cap, I don't see a cap. Oh. All right, everybody put your recaps on. So number 1, thumbnails. Everybody lick your thumbnail. That's number 1. Change your thumbnails periodically, monthly, monthly, 3 months. See what the analytics say of kind of click through and compare them to similar responding videos on your channel. Thumbnails, number 1. All right, we're gonna count like this. Number 1, thumbnails. Number 2, retention. 1 minute is important. Make that 1 minute sharp, crisp, clean. Number 3 is something about longevity. You have to be a long ball shooter with number 3, 3 hours. Think about that. Okay, we got number 1, thumbnail. Number 2, retention, point retention. Number 3, long 3. Number 4, there's 4 legs in a race. You are the baton grabber, and you make them come to your videos and your track. And you go to the suggested videos. You're playing for the suggestion game because YouTube wants to suggest you in front of the audience. Number 5, we got thumbnail. We got retention, 1 minute retention. Number 3, 3 hours long. Make it long. Shoot from the long range. Shoot from deep. Number 4, pass the baton. And number 5, finally, add your query to the list of every video you send to a friend or a newsletter or an affiliate or in your little description box. That is what the boring tips, if you do these tips, they are proven, according to Evan Carmichael, they are proven. And your trust will be gained by the viewer and the platform. And in that combination, there is nothing better for a creator. So it's all about trust. It's all about where you put your energy and trust. Do these tips and prove me wrong. See what happens. I for sure will be doing them, and that's the truth.